Hello and welcome to the third episode of Sites of Socio-cultural Exchange Festivals in Northeast India with the in-house team of Athenium, Piashi and Deep. As previously discussed, Athenium's perspective on creating these discourses is to bring to the forefront the concoction of festivals alongside socio-cultural, political and economic milieu. The ground on which we base our argument is that festivals form the ethnic identity of any group, and that too on a global scale. Festivals and other events are also constantly on the rise due to the idea of preservation of various cultural aspects. In the previous episode, we discussed on the festivals of Assam from the Brahmaputra Valley and have also spoken about the state and its geopolitical situation. Today, in continuation to festivals of Assam, we will talk about Barak Valley, which is extremely diverse than the rest of Assam in terms of ethnicity and language.
Yes, absolutely, Nandini. And this diversity and difference between Barak Valley and Brahmaputra Valley needs to be understood from the historical perspective. Now, reference can be drawn to the 1947 Sylhet referendum, which was held during the British rule, wherein the referendum was held to decide whether Sylhet would remain in Assam and join the dominion of India, or it would leave Assam to become part of East Bengal and thus join the dominion of Pakistan, right? And we all know that the referendum was in favor of joining Pakistan. However, the district of Karimganj subdivision joined India, right? And therefore, the majority of the people or in the region of Barak Valley, comprising of the districts of Kachar, Hailakandi, Karimganj, maintain a very different cultural, linguistic, and ethnic buildup. Sylhet, which is now part of modern day Bangladesh, was previously known as Shihotto, which also means prosperous. And during the colonial period, Sylhet was constantly tossed between Bengal and Assam by the colonial rulers due to various administrative reasons. Historically, it was part of the undivided Bengal and a frontier region of British India until 1874, if I'm correct. And then it joined the newly acquired territory of Assam. Now, what is the motivation behind clubbing Sylhet with the newly carved out Chief Commissioner's province of Assam needs detailed deliberation, which I think is beyond the ambit of today's discussion. And Nandini, I think I must also mention here that the festivals that we are talking about in today's episode are very similar to those celebrated by people of West Bengal in the sense that the majority of the population in the Barak Valley are Bengalis. But having said that, they are extremely diverse in terms of language and traditions. The people residing in the Barak Valley speak Sylheti, which is a language, has a script of its own, and most importantly, it's not a dialect, which is a common mistake.
Yes, very rightly pointed out by Piashi. Assam, also due to the partition of India, is also home to many ethnic groups with diverse identities and language. And hence, as discussed in the previous episode, in Assam, ethnicities are defined and categorized in terms of linguistic, religious, and population. Thus, it is that we look into the festivities of to map the and also the diverse nature of ethnic and cultural groups in Assam. So the first festival that I am going to talk about is Makar Sankranti, also known as Sankranti or Posh Sankranti, which is held in and around 14th and 15th of January, which happens every year, and famously also known as the Festival of Pithapuli. Pithapuli, it refers to the various homemade sweets, and it majorly are prepared from rice, then coconut, jaggery, and also milk as one of its main ingredients. This particular festival, it recognizes the bounty of nature. So the change in the sun transits into the Makara, marking the end of the month with the winter solstice and also start for longer days. Being a land surrounded by river and also the various water bodies, most people previously engaged in agriculture as a profession. Uh, then also we have items made out of first batch of cultivated crops, which is offered to the gods, and the waste hay products are set ablaze on the wee hours on the day of the Sankranti. There is a prevalence of Nagar Kirtana also by the where the Kirtana or the musical offering to Lord Vishnu, led by various Kirtana groups, go door to door in the locality.
Yes, and Deep, I have such fond memories of this because on the day of the Sankranti, everyone in the family would get up, very early in the morning and have a bath, and then all of us would stand in a circle surrounding the hay from the produce, which would then be set ablaze. And since it is winter season, it would create that warmth and belongingness to the family. And immediately after the Kirtana groups, as you mentioned, would leave, we kids would go to our relatives' houses and were offered the pitapuli made by each household. Now, this festival. It also marks the beauty of joint family culture, alongside the remembrance of the ancestors and paying homage to the land that satisfies the hunger of all. The commercial side of the festival has also brought about various pitapuli carnivals, or which we call as Posh Parbon, that are now a common feature in major Indian cities as well.
Yes, and I think this Pithapuli Parvan is important for people like us who stay away from our hometowns now, because we get at least some access if we don't know how to make them. And I think when we're talking about this commercialization angle of the festival, we need to keep in mind that there are far-reaching effects, in the sense that they, of course, help in the propagation of the culture, but not necessarily to its full extent in the some sense. Due to increased urbanization, people from rural areas staying alone in cities, and why only rural areas, when from urban areas where we move for jobs, etc., at least we get a chance to enjoy the flavor of our homeland. The concept is of celebrating and worshipping the first produce of the season, and it is a land that is worshipped, as the saying goes very fondly, that Shasha Shamalam, implying bountiful greenery. The festival has religious underpinnings also, in the sense that the god in the heaven is thanked for the consumption of the first produce of the land by making the first offering to them. Now, the idea is also to have a blessed produce for the entire year, which I believe is also similar to a lot of other harvest festivals celebrated across India.
Yes, Yashi, and another festival, that marks the beauty of land is Poila Boishakh and Mohabishubho Sankranti. Now, Poila Boishakh means the first day of New Year, and Mohabishubho Sankranti is the day preceding the Poila Boishakh. Mohabishubho Sankranti marks the final day of the year, and the feast is mostly vegetarian across the land. The day of Mahabishubho Sankranti also marks the financial year ending for most of the businesses of the land of Barak Valley.
Yes, Poila Boishakh, we see that every house has a different way of celebrating the festival. However, there's one thing which actually binds together, and that common feature is the purchasing of new clothes for all family members, and also mostly non-vegetarian food items are served as the whole family sits together for lunch. And paying homage to the elderly and remembering ancestors also forms an important part of this particular festival.
Yes, Deep. And I also remember that domestic cows would be taken door to door, and worshipping of cows, I think, is a common feature in the Barak Valley and also in the Brahmaputra Valley. The cows are offered various types of food items like fruits, sweets. And in certain families, we can also witness that towards the evening, there is the performance of Thamai, which is the dance that the women uh, perform in the household, dancing in circular motions and dance to the tunes of the elderlies who sing these songs, which are dedicated to Radha Krishna, which is in the Silheti language. And it is usually a very fun filled activity. And the musical instruments that are used during Dhamail include kartal, harmonium, bashi, or the flute. And kartal is, of course, the percussion instrument in India. It is also called the cymbal. And it literally means the rhythm of the hands. And it's made by two circular copper plates which are clapped together to get a rhythmic sound.
Absolutely, Piyashi. And on that note, I should mention one more festival, which is the Kojagari Monoshankranti. Right? Kojagari means to be awake throughout the night. Hindu religious festival, and we are discussing it here mostly because of the literature involved. The texts are Manasha Mongol and Padma Puran.
Yes, when we talk about Manasha Mongol, it is one of the oldest of the Mongol Kavya, and it narrates how the snake goddess Manasha established her worship through Chat Saudagar by converting them from the worship of Lord Shiva. So Manasa is the name of Manas Kanya of Lord Shiva. The goddess Vishahari. Manasha Mangal, it recites the story of how Behula brings back her husband Lakhinder from the clutches of death. Lakhinder was a son of Chat Saudagar, and when Chat Saudagar denies to recognize Manasha Devi as a deity, she sends snakes to poison his son. So on his wedding night, Lakhinder is bitten by a snake and he dies. He is thus offered to the seas or the Jal Samadhi, as is the practice, and Behula accompanies him. So Manasha Devi finally surrenders to Behula's love for Lakhinder. Manasha Mangal is also remarkable in how it portrays Behula as the epitome of womanhood and also showcases her devotion to her husband.
Wonderfully narrated, Deep. I think you have provided a good gist of that festival, and I must also mention that it is during the entire night of the Manasha Puja, which is spent by singing and narrating the Manasha Mongol and the Padma Puran.
Yes. So when we talk about absolutely, actually, when we talk about festival and means events that are celebrated, it bring with them community belongingness, and it also showcase participation at various levels. In the olden days, festivals and traditions were also reasons for people to come together in recognition of a bigger power, and also to pay homage to nature, which is the primary source of survival for all.
Absolutely, Deep. And I think with the discussions that we have had in the past, we have seen that festivals carry this age old belief system of the community, right? And help in the process of identity creation and preservation. Of course, with the change in time and the family structure, festivals are now celebrated differently. Moreover, the festivals are unique to the geographical area and are celebrated with the produce of the land, and certain items are unique to a particular geographical locale. And due to the increased urbanization and shift to modern systems of livelihood, unique traditional items used in the festivals are sometimes not even available, which of course creates a change in the manner in which these festivals are celebrated, and that's why these deliberations become critical.
Absolutely, Piyashi, and I second you on the thought that you have provided. And this deliberation on the festivals unique to the region of Barak Valley was extremely important in the sense that it brought to the forefront so many unknown facets of festivals that coexist so peacefully in a single geographical state. And I think sum up the idea of festivals with this thought in mind that festivals in themselves are symbols of identity, culture, and tradition. And even though they have religious underpinnings, they are not limited to religious contexts. And with this, we have come to the end of the third episode of Sites of Socio-cultural Exchange Festivals in the Northeast India, with the thought that with the opening up of a forum of discussion on festivals of Northeast, we will continue our research on festivals and various features that are associated with them. Thanks to both Deep and Piyashi for joining in and providing valuable insights on the topic. Stay tuned to Athenium for the next episode of Sites of Socio-cultural Exchange Festivals in Northeast India.
If you liked our video and you wish to continue watching it, please like, share, and subscribe Athenaeum.